1190 AM, CNN News, and the best in specialty programming.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station or Clear Channel Communications.
It's the Innovation at Work radio show with Winston Edmondson. Are you a small business owner with high hopes? An inspiring entrepreneur with big dreams? For the next hour, Winston exhibits his blueprint for success in your land of hopes and dreams. And now, here's your host, Winston Edmondson.
It's another great day on the Innovation at Work radio show. I'm Winston Edmondson. If you're in your car listening to the show and you make a stop, you need to go somewhere, maybe you have your iPhone though, you can listen to the show and even watch the video on your iPhone or your iPod Touch or your iPad if you have one of those. You just get the application. It's completely free for justin.tv. And then once you get that application loaded, do a search for Innovation Envy. And there you go. You've got access to the Innovation at Work radio show wherever you go as long as you have that iPhone. Now, not too long ago, the founder of Pegasus News, Mike Oren, we were talking about maybe having him on the show to talk about Pegasus News. And I was looking at my schedule trying to figure out what days were still open. And he sent me an email and said, don't even worry about it. Just tungle me and we'll get you, we'll put it together. Now, I hadn't known Mike for this long, so when he suggested that I tungle him, I was a little nervous. What the heck does that mean, Mike? What are you talking about? I'm married. I have 4 kids. I don't know anything about this tungling. But he introduced me to a website, tungle.me. And, man, this has been, just for my show, one of the most useful tools. So I have the CEO of TungleMe, Mark Gingras, on the line. Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm great, and it's a pleasure to be on the show.
I appreciate you being here. Like I said, this is an unusual name, a name that I don't think I'll ever forget. And once I learned what this was, TungleMe, I fell in love with this tool. Do you get a lot of feedback about, wow, that name really has some kind of shock value? People want to know what it means, and then they really get into the application?
They do. I mean, the name for us is really part of our brand, and we really want to make sure that people use it as a verb for scheduling meetings. So, the origin of the word is only known by the employees of Tungles. It's one of our corporate secrets.
Uh-huh.
But so we won't get into that today. But definitely we want it to be a verb to replace the old, boring way of scheduling meetings.
Very smart. Now, I want to get into all the nuts and bolts and the way you can use TungleMe, but let's go ahead and just, if you'll tell my audience, kind of explain in the most basic of terms what TungleMe is.
Yeah, if you work in a business environment, a corporate environment, you probably often feel that you spend more time trying to schedule a meeting than actually having it. Like our research shows that even for a half an hour meeting, think about it, a 30-minute meeting, you spend on average 15 minutes scheduling it. And imagine and that's for a one-on-one meeting. Now, if you're trying to get 4, 5, 10 people together for a meeting, now forget about it. You're spending a lot of time just scheduling meetings. So that's the pain that Tungle we're trying to solve. So remove all that pain of finding a time that works for everybody. So the way Tungle works, in a very simple way, is you go to tungle.me. It's a free service. You sign up, and then what you do is you get a TungleMe URL. So, for example, mine is tungle.me/Mark, M-A-R-C. On that URL, what I did is I really customized it the way I wanted it to show the times that I wanted to make myself available for meetings. So, for example, I don't want meetings on Monday mornings. I don't want meetings on Friday afternoons. My work day is from, 9 to 5 or whatever it could be. So I really can customize it the way I want to. And then I sync it with my calendar. And by the way, we work with all leading calendar applications out there, being Outlook, Google, iCal, Entourage, Notes, you name it, we work with it. So as you have stuff in your calendar, it automatically takes it out from the times that you said you were available. So now, when someone wants to meet with me, all I do is say, go to tungle.me/Mark, and they go to that page, they see the times that I'm available, they pick times that work for them, and boom, the meeting automatically gets booked. Now, what's interesting is they do not need to be Tungle users, and they are not forced to sign up. So it's really a frictionless way for them to schedule meetings with you.
And that, I think, was a stroke of genius, because too often that's the case. If there's a new service, and let's say my friend learns about it and he's intrigued, he really buys into it. He wants to use it all the time. When he wants me to use it, it usually requires me to sign up, and maybe I don't want to. So when I first saw this invitation from Mike, I'll always give it a chance. I went to the URL that he sent me, and I was prepared to email him back and say, look, I don't want to sign up for anything, so let's figure out another way to do this. But when I followed the link, there was no such requirement. So I think, again, that really is kind of a stroke of genius there.
Yeah, no, and there's some other things, and I guess we'll get into that, but there's other things that we do that are not obvious when people go to the page to help in terms of simplicity. For example, time zones, and we can get into that. But we do automatic time zone discovery, so if you're trying to schedule a call with someone, for example, you're in Central Time, and we scheduled this interview, you came to my page, if I'm not mistaken, and although I'm in Montreal, so I'm on Eastern Time Zone, when you saw the times that I'm making myself available, it was automatically displayed to you in your time zone. And all this, you probably even know about it, but we do it all on automatic behind the scenes for you.
And that is tremendously helpful. I actually had to schedule a meeting with someone in, I think it was Arizona, where they don't do the daylight savings time. So, I kind of knew what time it was there, but then we had daylight savings, and theirs stayed the same, and mine moved, and it was just kind of weird. It's hard to keep track of kind of issues like that, but through TungleMe, it was all taken care of. I didn't have to worry about it. So I think you're right. You thought of all those hurdles, I guess, that prevent a lot of people from adopting a new service, and you just kind of wiped them all off the table. So kudos for that. Let's go. We have just a little bit of time, but kind of take me back before you started Tungle. What were you doing?
So before Tungle, I was, I'm a mechanical engineer of background, and I worked for some internships into manufacturing and figured out that I wasn't the guy to wear hard hats and earplugs. So I did my first startup in 1998, right out of my master's, building e-commerce websites for different companies. And one of the websites that I was lucky enough to work on was chapters.ca. And if you're from Canada, for sure, Chapters. Chapters is the Barnes & Noble of Canada. So we kind of built the Amazon.com of Canada.
Wow.
So that was a good experience there. Then I worked as an investor for some period of time as a venture capitalist. Fell in love with one of my investments and joined them. A company was called Nimcat Networks. It was in the voice over IP market. We eventually sold it to Avaya, and that's where, after that, I started Tungle.
Very impressive. I'm always impressed when I hear the story behind the company. And a lot of times I have these big thinkers where it's all about vision, less about what they can actually do. But with your background, and you did some of that programming early on, were you pretty hands-on with the programming for Tungle?
I'm not a developer at all. So I didn't write one line of code of Tungle. But you know what? I've got a really smart team at Tungle that helped build this technology. So to me, it was about, a lot on the product side, understanding what needed to get built and so on, raising money, doing the right partnerships and so on, and having the right team that I could depend on.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Build it. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is the Innovation at Work radio show. I'm Winston Edmondson, speaking with Mark Gingras from Tungle.me. While we're taking a break, pull it up, Tungle.me. Be right back.
Hi.
Can I get you guys to say Tungle me? Tungle me, baby.
Say what?
Tungle me.
Tungle me?
Tungle?
Tungle?
Yeah.
Tungle me.
What is it?
You gotta tell me.
What is it called?
Tungle me.
Tungle me?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it.
What?
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Call me, email me, or tungle me.
Tungle me.
If you're lucky, you can tungle me.
Tungle me. Tungle me. Tungle me.
I'm Scobalizer, and you can tungle me.
Tungle me. Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me. Tungle me. Tungle me. Tungle me.
Tungle me. Tungle me.
Tungle me.
Tungle me. Tungle me.
Thank you.
Tungle me? That sounds dirty.
I know.
Will you tungle me? Tungle me.